Hello, and welcome to Bricks and Banner, the show with real talk from the custom LEGO community. I'm your host, as always, Billy, and today's guest is a special one. He is a longtime community member and just recently started his own company, making killer resin prints in his spare time. It is none other than ValorBricks. So with no further ado, here's my episode with Brandon from ValorBricks. And we're here with Brandon, aka the owner of ValorBricks. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to have you on. Our good buddy Charles has been just pestering me every single week. Every poll I put up for questions, just when will Brandon be on? He better be on before the 10th episode airs. He better be this. So,
That's why he is one of my best friends.
fine, right? So we finally made it happen. The best part is he saw like the announcement post. Like, oh, send questions for ValorBricks, but this is only going to air maybe like 3 weeks after recording it because I have a huge backlog now that I've been working towards. So he's probably going to pester me within the next 2 weeks to be like, so when's that airing? Like, where is it though? Where is it though?
I'll have to tell him it's recorded so he leaves you alone.
It's going to be weird to not be, just barotted with when will Brandon be on every single week, but it'll be a good change. I could finally go back to normal conversations with him. So,
That's good.
but yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. Yeah, you're definitely the first like company or brand to be on, but you're also just a member of the community in general. So, I mean, we could just start there and how you got started and kind of discovered like the military and third party world.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I've kind of been into Lego my entire life. I mean, especially military. I always thought it was really cool, and I mean, I collect military on the side, so it's always kind of been my thing.
Oh, like models and stuff, model kits.
Oh no, I collect like military.
Oh, right, Milsurp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
collectibles and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I've always kind of been into like the real deal kind of stuff. And I've always liked brick arms too. I remember like when I went to Brick Fair one year, I think it was GI Brick. It was so long ago, I don't
Yeah.
even remember who it was. But I remember getting like a few brick arms. I think I got like a couple of helmets, a couple of guns, and they were like the coveted items in my Lego collection. Cuz I mean, a lot of Lego builders, they kind of start off with like off-brand stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
when the brick arms first came out, it was a big deal cuz there wasn't really military stuff. So I always thought they were really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he's still leading the charge as one of the best brands for it. So
Oh yeah, hands down. I will always have respect for Will and Brick Arms. He's a super nice guy and he runs an amazing company.
right on. So you started up an account, BrickDude112, as you could have been known by, building some minifigs. How did that start? How did you get involved on Flickr and stuff like that?
I actually first started off on the Brick Arms forum, I think, and I don't think I was Brick Dude 112, but that's where I like originally started posting stuff here and there. And I remember at Brick Fair one year, my friend James, he was like, "Dude, you gotta hop on Flickr, man. You gotta check it out." And I was like, "All right." So I made myself a Flickr account, and that was kind of towards that was back when Flickr was still pretty popular. That was a few years back.
Hmm.
And I would definitely say my building got so much better because Flickr, it's like, it's more people kind of collaborating and talking about stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
like Instagram, it's a lot of people kind of, oh, the tank looks super good. Flickr, it was more like, I think this looks amazing, but you could do this and this. So I definitely say my building got like really good over time.
Yeah, Flickr was much better for that. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a much more diehard community, I feel like, at that point,
Oh,
just
yeah.
being so niche that people, and with Flickr kind of being more message boardy than
Hmm.
Instagram is, I think it kind of just fostered people to be more critical, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
gave space for that and it was good.
And Flickr had the groups too, which was really nice. I remember there were like
Right.
specific groups for like World War II and custom minifigures. So there was definitely like a bigger sense of community there.
True, yeah. I mean, now it's the hashtags which kind of result in the same thing to discover people, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, being called a group, it kind of did bring a certain air to it.
Definitely.
So you were mentioning just a bit before we started recording, and I was like, hold on, we got to get it on air.
Yeah.
But meeting Will, you mentioned at Brick Fair, Virginia, he was always sharing like his
Uh-huh.
process and stuff like that, and that kind of inspired you into what you're doing now. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually met him. The first time I met him was at World War Brick in
Oh, okay.
Hartford a few years back.
Awesome, awesome.
Back when they were actually doing that.
Yeah,
And I remember I hung out with him for a while, talked about stuff, and it was kind of cool to hear the process of it. I didn't really know about like injection molding and stuff, so it was kind of neat to like hear about the process and all that kind of crap.
Sure. And then, so you have a background in engineering, you said?
Yeah, I'm actually going to college next year, but I've done a lot with CAD work, and my school has what is it called? It's like a career and technology center.
Mm-hmm.
So I did engineering through there. I got an Autodesk user certification and
Oh,
whatnot. So
awesome.
yeah, a lot with technical drafting and stuff. So I'm a little bit experienced in it.
Right. I mean, it shows certainly in the products and just being able to 3D model it all. Um, Back in the day, like as I was getting into the community and trying to do something, like I tried to go the 3D modeling route and I couldn't grasp it. I just had to do it with my hands. Like it wasn't working for me, but
Oh yeah,
I really appreciate people who can. It's totally a skill. Like,
Oh yeah, it's not as bad as people think it is. But I was the same way back when I first started. It was I think the first time I used Inventor was on my school's robotics team, and I was like, dude, I don't understand this at all.
right.
It definitely took me a bit to actually like kind of understand what was going on and how to like make my own stuff.
Mm,
But once you understand it, I mean, it's pretty straightforward and it's pretty easy to make your own stuff from what I've found.
nice.
And the
And
nice part, oh,
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
Nope. Nope.
Oh,
All you.
I was gonna say, a lot of the computer aided design programs, it's like coding languages. I mean, they transfer over to each other pretty easily.
Mm,
Like if you use SolidWorks, it's pretty transferable to Inventor and vice versa.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. I've kind of noticed that to a lesser extent just between like audio and video editing stuff now that I've tried to do YouTube and this podcast. Like just trying to learn some of the keybinds, a lot of them kind of transfer over between the two, which is very convenient. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's definitely nice. It makes it a lot easier when you switch from one thing to another.
for sure. Yeah. So I remember back, I think it started on Flickr that you would post some of your models on
Hmm.
BrickDude112. But I kept seeing those and I was like, oh shoot, he's gonna make something like that'd be sweet. And I mean, looking back, it was a long time coming because
Yeah, that was
those
like
kind of
years ago.
models,
Yeah.
those models for like 2 or 3 years at least before you ever started to
Yeah.
do ValorBricks. So
Yeah, I used to mess around and I never actually published any of it or shared it, but I would always, to try to test myself, I would try to like copy other people's stuff.
mm,
Like I remember I tried to copy Citizen Brick's lighter. I think I tried to copy the Brick Arms Panzerschreck. And not to like produce it, but just to see if I actually had the skill to kind of make this kind of stuff.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, when you're learning like art and stuff, they say, you go through all the styles and learn all that, and then you can kind of throw that all away and make your own stuff and
Oh yeah,
based with everything
definitely.
else. So that's a great way, a great approach, I think.
Yeah, I kind of went down the same path. I mean, when I design stuff, I don't look at anything else. I just look at real life reference pictures.
Right, right.
I know a lot of like military model building these days is kind of seeing what other people do, but I try to make stuff as original and authentic as I can.
Yeah, that's the best. I remember some of the stuff though. We'd gone back and forth just aesthetically. I think it was the crotch plate. I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
it
the
looks
groin
so
guard. Yeah.
skinny and just like kind of odd. Um, and you just informed me like how much it is to like spec and
I was
realistic
gonna
in terms
say
of
in
the
real life it's
dimensions.
not that big.
Yeah, which I appreciate. I appreciate that you'll stick to that.
Oh
But
yeah.
it does bring in a question with like the Lego form about where will you kind of bend the rules for like aesthetic purposes to mesh with a Lego style as opposed to strictly being, 100% to accuracy.
Oh yeah, I've bent the rules plenty of times before. I mean, the laser pistol is a great example of that. I mean, detail wise, it's almost spot on, I'd say. But
Right.
as far as scale, it's ginormous on a minifigure. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not really. I try to make stuff as realistic, and I mean, part of it is because I want to make something that I am proud of putting on a minifigure. If I think something looks awkward, I'm like, yeah, I'm not so sure if I should make that or make it to sell. Because I always, whenever I print something out, I always paint it up, see how it looks on a minifigure, see if it's something I would use, and then I kind of just go from there as far as adjusting the scale.
Right on. Yeah. That makes sense. So we post on Instagram to get some listeners to send in questions, and there was a lot going into your design process. I don't want to kind of just harp on that specifically, but is there anything that going into 3D modeling you could say for beginners?
My biggest thing that I would recommend is focusing on functionality and scale at the same time. I see a lot of people that focus on functionality and scale individually, and it just doesn't really turn out that great.
Hmm.
I would definitely like recommend trying to mesh the two to make stuff functional and scale accurate at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Those are both the factors that really are what goes into making, say, brick arms quality or
Oh yeah,
citizen brick
definitely.
quality is just the
Yeah.
blending of those two. Yeah, I agree.
The other thing I definitely recommend is just trying to make anything. I mean, I definitely wouldn't like limit yourself to military stuff. And I mean, it's the same way with military models too, like building Lego stuff. I mean, I try to build Star Wars stuff occasionally just to try to get the creative juices flowing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just to keep switching it up.
Yeah, always try to make stuff new. It's always the best way to keep your skills at hand.
Yeah, I agree. Another question, just kind of in this vein, was what was one of the biggest challenges in turning real objects into the Lego form?
I think the biggest challenge is definitely the minifigure. As I mentioned, getting the scale is important.
Right.
The minifigure is a really awkward little guy. They're really unique and they're really great for what they are, but as far as making stuff that fits with the minifigure, it can be really difficult. And I've
Mm-hmm.
definitely had that problem in the past where I'm like, ooh, wow, that looks really weird on a minifigure.
Yeah.
I remember I tried to make I think it was the nuke launcher thing from Starship Troopers,
Okay. Sure.
and I ended up printing that out, and I was like, oh wow, this looks really weird on a minifigure. This looks way too big and awkward.
Yep.
But
Is there any projects like that that you kind of never made it past the prototyping phase that you kind of want to revisit in the future?
oh yeah, definitely. There's a couple that I really kind of got to sit down and just kind of revamp them a little bit. And I have stuff that I probably still need to print at this point as far as prototyping. I
Hmm.
remember a few years ago I made the Rainbow Six Siege drone, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think
Okay.
yeah, I think that was actually like one of my first kind of like things that I kind of did on my own, and I never ended up printing that out. That was back before I even had a resin printer, so I
Where?
couldn't exactly prototype.
Yeah, it makes sense. Where did you get it printed? Did you use like online Shapeways or something?
Oh no, I didn't even get it printed. It was pretty expensive actually. If you try to get your stuff printed individually, it can cost like $5-10 a piece, even for something small like that.
Mm.
So I was kind of like, I'll just wait till I get a printer, try it out then.
Right. So then by prototyping, it was just in CAD kind of working with it. You mean?
Yeah, pretty much. And I downloaded a minifigure too, so I could like put it in an assembly.
Oh,
Yeah, check how it looked that way.
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Being able to compare the scales digitally instead of having to print it out,
Yeah,
play with it, see what's happening. Yeah.
and if you have a good minifigure model, that works. The biggest thing is kind of checking if to make sure it actually fits with the minifigure in real life.
Mm-hmm. So you're 3D modeling for a while. What made you decide to start like a business behind it and actually start producing your stuff with a resin printer?
Honestly, the biggest reason was last summer it was the coronavirus pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't able to work during the summer, so I was like, I kind of need to start working a little bit and doing something, especially during the summer when I was kind of just sitting around not working. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use the little money I have left and I'm just going to get a resin printer and see how this goes.
Nice.
And part of it too is I had always kind of wanted to make a business out of it just cuz I really love it.
Yep.
I had wanted to like kind of make my own parts and sell them and that kind of stuff. More cuz I think it's fun than I want to make money.
Yeah, yeah, just a side thing and see how far you could take it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, sounds like one of the best things to kind of come out of the pandemic for the community. I had, I never, I don't know, I kind of just think that you've been around doing it for a lot longer than the year. Like it really does seem like a lot longer than that.
Oh yeah, it hasn't even been a
Um,
year at this point.
that's crazy. That really is like thinking back to it, it doesn't seem like those dates coincide. I thought you had been doing it previously, but
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that, honestly.
so yeah, you've really made a lot of progress in under a year.
Thank you.
Um, where are you feeling on where you want to take it into the future?
Honestly, that's not really something I've thought about yet. I'm going
Really?
off to college next summer. Now, the the thing is, I'm not going to be the college I'm going to actually isn't going to be super far away from home. So
Hmm.
I'll probably still try to print stuff and design stuff and whatnot, especially during like the summer and winter break.
For sure.
I definitely don't plan on like pulling the plug anytime soon.
Well, that's good. That's good. So, do you kind of intend to kind of just keep it more of as a side hobby thing?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so.
Got you.
I mean, after college, I mean, if you look at a lot of companies these days, they kind of do it like full time.
Hmm.
And after college, I definitely want to get an engineering job, so it'll probably be part time for the most part
Right.
if I continue it after college.
Yeah. Even if, yeah. I was gonna ask if you had any plans, like if you were like trying to big brain this and turn it into something, like if you had thoughts about getting stuff injection molded as opposed to being just resin printed, or how? What are your feelings on that?
You know, honestly, if I had the money, I probably would.
Mm.
And if I had the space too, honestly, I actually have my whole setup on what is supposed to be my school desk. So,
Right.
yeah, my entire school desk is like resin printed parts and resin printer and my wash and cure machine, and yeah, it's a fun setup. But if I had the space in the future, like a garage, I would definitely consider getting like injection molding stuff. Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of this stuff would look better injection molded.
Sure. Yeah. I was surprised with how good the resin quality was.
Yeah, me too, honestly.
I don't know. I feel
Oh,
like a
go
lot
ahead.
of people are resistant to the change of being stuff kind of being like 3D printed, and it kind of got a
Hmm.
bad rap as like the stuff off Shapeways and stuff could be really rough, you know.
Hmm.
But the resin printer really does provide a much better quality for even at like the entry level, as opposed to when you're 3D printing, you gotta get like a high end one to match the quality of and smoothness. But
Yeah, I was pretty surprised too. I started printing some stuff and I was like, "Wow, the quality on this is crazy." Because I'm used to the filament printers with the plastic.
mm-hmm.
So when I started printing out some of this stuff, I was like, "Wow, this looks pretty good painted up." I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's really not. And I don't even think I did it for the vest you'd sent me out, but just to sand it down briefly would probably do a lot for that as well.
Yeah, I haven't even sanded it down. I've just painted it up, and
Actually,
it turns out pretty smooth.
yeah, I'm thinking back to this now, and um, our buddy Sean, who's also gotten into resin printing a bit,
Oh yeah, yeah,
he was mentioning to me that he had to sand something down, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a terrible idea. Like something with the resin and all is just like cancerous, so not
yeah,
advisable. Actually, don't try and sand the ValorBricks down." I'm gonna try that next time and see if I end up dying or something. But
yeah.
I'll
I
get back
think
to you. In the meantime, I'm not advising people to actually sand 3D resin printed stuff.
yeah, I wouldn't advise sanding it down because what happens is you expose that part that hasn't been hardened. I think when
Mm,
you harden the resin, it only hardens the
the
outside.
outside. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes
so if
sense.
you snap a part in half, you will see that the inside is like kind of a little clear, and that's the way with anything that's resin printed.
Hmm.
I think most of it, if it's thin enough, I think it hardens for the most part.
Well,
As long
now I
as you
gotta go
don't,
snap your pieces open.
I yeah, I mean,
I
I
gotta
haven't
find the
really,
gooey center to these
yeah,
the pouches.
yeah, I maybe wouldn't include that part. No, for the most part, I think resin printing is safe. I've done a lot of research. I make sure I cure the stuff properly and wash it and whatnot, just to make sure it's all good to go.
Absolutely, yeah. I
And
only
I
found
think,
out recently that there's like a whole curing Like I didn't know
yeah,
how
you
it
have to
worked.
cure it.
Yeah, how what is that? What is going on during the curing process?
So the curing process exposes it to UV light, which hardens it. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Actually, I haven't done a whole lot of research on that part. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure it just hardens it.
Got you.
And I think when you sand it, what you're creating is like what is that? It's asbestos dust, kind of. You know, you don't want
Oh,
to.
awesome.
That's not what I mean, but it's you don't want to breathe in the
Yeah,
dust.
it's like
You know?
the just resin
Yeah,
particulate. You don't want to be sucking that in.
and that's the way it is with anything that's resin printed. You got to be kind of careful with it,
Mm.
not to like dog on resin printing or
Yeah, no,
anything.
because I mean, you, it's
I
not
promise
really
it's safe.
intended. Yeah, it's not intended
Yeah,
to be sanded. So it's
yeah. I wouldn't be selling it if it wasn't safe.
of course, of course.
I try to keep the safety of everybody.
ValorBricks does not endorse the sniffing and ingesting
I mean, if you
ingesting parts.
if you sand off the small little nubs, I mean, you should be fine. I just wouldn't recommend
Totally.
sanding a whole part of it.
Yeah, like people are doing the brick arms plate carrier, and you just literally have to sit there and file the
Yeah.
whole side of the vest until it's flat.
And even if you wanted to do that, I think as long as you did it outside. I'm not like definitively giving any suggestions here. I'm just kind of thinking through my own thought
Yeah.
process. But if you did it outside,
I'm sure with ventilation and everything, that'd be fine.
yeah, that's kind
But
of the way it is with
we're
anything.
also, for the most part, in our coom caves, just kind
Yeah.
of 2
I
a.m.
mean, even ABS plastic dust, you don't want to breathe that stuff in. It's
Exactly.
not good for you.
Exactly.
I mean, dust with anything that's like plastic or resin, you don't really want to breathe that in.
Right. Just don't tell Alex that. Love sniffing that ABS.
Yikes. No comment.
Okay. So recently, you hosted on your story a little fan community bracket to have people vote on what your next product would be. First off, how did you think the reception of that was? Were you surprised with the result?
I was surprised. I was surprised with how many people actually kind of voted on it. There's definitely there's definitely a lot of feedback that I kind of liked on that.
That's great.
I was definitely a little surprised with the results. I definitely thought that the Ranger helmet from Fallout New Vegas was going to win.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in the community thought it was going to win too. It had a couple people just a little in their feelings in the DMs, just
Yeah.
like, damn,
Yeah.
I want the Ranger
I
helmet
definitely had
though.
a couple of people that were like, dang, the IMTV really won. I actually had someone message me. I think he said he really wanted the IMTV, so he got some of his family members to vote on it too.
Bro.
I don't think that's what caused it to go over though. I mean,
Right.
honestly, like a lot of people these days, there's so many companies that aren't really making a whole lot of military stuff that's new.
hmm
I think that people kind of want new stuff. I mean,
Absolutely. I'm one of them.
especially-
Like,
Yeah, I love Brick Arms, but they've been making a lot of Star Wars stuff these days.
mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think people kind of want some more modern military stuff to mess with.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's definitely a bit of a hole in the market. People are thirsty
Yeah.
for some more new stuff, so
Definitely.
it'll definitely be a great piece when it comes out. But I also have a soft spot for some APOC, so I'd love
Oh,
to see the
yeah.
Ranger helmet in the future. Do you think that any of the it's hard to say even call them like losers from the bracket, but pieces that didn't make it all the way to the end, are you going to revisit those in the future? Do they still
Oh,
have a
yeah,
shot?
definitely. I'm not really gonna throw anything out the window, especially I think it was the life buoy flamethrower. I had actually wanted to do that for a while, so that'll probably be popping up somewhere in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty unique one.
Yeah, and I think there's not a lot of like World War One flamethrowers out there. I think Brick Warriors might make one that's pretty good. They might be the only one that makes
Yeah,
one of those,
Brick Warriors
actually.
has some surprising stuff.
Yes, I remember. They actually make a Desert Eagle that's pretty good too.
They
I don't think
do.
I don't know if they've ever had it in
Well,
stock in the last few years, but
I almost can't even say that because I was roasting Sam, Uncle Sammy Poo, about his love for the Deagle model. But I mean, it's just about the best that there is. Like,
actually, funny story. That was actually one of the first like custom guns that I got was the Brick Warriors Desert Eagle. And this was like back when I didn't know anything about military stuff, so
Mhm.
I like gave it to my like World War II guy. My World
Oh.
War II American is like a Colt 1911 handgun. Yeah, I didn't know the difference, so I was
I
like,
feel
this
that
looks like
though.
yeah, this looks like a World War II gun. That'll do just fine, you know.
I still hardly know what I would put on a historical figure. Like, I totally just don't even
Some
bother with
people
that
are
stuff.
diehard about the historical
It's
stuff. Even I'm not that bad.
No, that's the whole reason I never got into it. It was just like, oh, so you're telling me like to get into this community, I have to like get a 3-year college degree on what wars and what battles, and then if I don't do something to the T, I'm just gonna get roasted for it? Yeah, okay, I'll pass. Like,
It's not that bad, I wouldn't say.
no, in practice, it's not that bad, but I think it was also a bit worse when I'd gotten into things. So
Yeah, a few years ago, it was definitely people were pretty diehard with their
we were
history
at the
stuff.
height. Yeah.
Even now, especially with like the World War II stuff, people are pretty up in arms about trying to keep it as accurate as possible.
Right. You briefly mentioned that that flamethrower, that World War One buoy.
Oh yeah.
There was another question in: do you have plans to do any other World War One products in the future?
Probably a couple. I remember I remember for a while there was a really big phase of World War One stuff when Battlefield One came out,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
think Brick Arms did just about every World War One gun in existence, which was awesome because like there were all these World War One guns suddenly that you could use for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
there's
like
definitely
the trench mason stuff that came out at the time
oh yeah, that
too.
was
Those
awesome.
are
I love
great.
that piece. But yeah, there's I mean I think I should probably do like some lobster armor maybe the
Oh
World War One
yeah.
flamethrower. There's definitely some like wacky weapons that nobody has ever done before.
Yeah, there really is. Is that lobster armor? Do you remember Full Plastic Jacket? Is that the thing he had created?
I think
He
so.
made like a really
I think he made
interesting
one a
mod.
while ago. Yeah, it was pretty good actually.
Yeah, it was surprising. Like it was just where what did you use to make this even? Like it came out just pretty much on par.
Yeah, people are pretty creative with stuff these days.
Absolutely.
I'm not like that. I don't do much modding. I think I had maybe like one or two mods that were pretty good. Like I remember I made a G43 mod a while ago with a scope that turned out halfway decent.
Mm.
And then I had this phase where I used to always like I loved like to paint the guns with the just to make them more accurate.
Yeah, sure.
But I've never really been crazy into modding, which is funny because I make products that are specifically designed for
For
modders.
the modders, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Here I'm saying I don't mod much. And
You know,
yeah.
speaking of that, with your products like the vest being catered to people who are gonna kind of do it themselves. You
Hmm.
know, you gotta glue it, you gotta assemble it, like similar to like tiny tactical stuff, where it's
Hmm.
kind of relying on the user to assemble it all, and a bit unlike brick arm stuff, which comes
Right.
ready to go.
Ready to go. Yeah.
Um, from my understanding, the modcom items were kind of discontinued and never really fully produced because of that. There's also like quality issues, but it's like how do I
Hmm.
sell something that is going to need modding and
Right.
refining to people? So how do you feel like you're not necessarily positioning in the market? That's like such a like
Yeah.
professional term, but like how do you feel it is marketing an item like that isn't just ready to sell? Like there's work that has to go into it once the customer receives it.
It's definitely a niche community and it's definitely a niche group of people that are interested in it.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, it gives you so much more openness with what you can do. You
Right.
know? I mean, if you buy a pack that's, comes pre-assembled, there's only a very limited amount of stuff you can do unless you modify it and destroy it.
Yeah.
But especially with the stuff I make, I mean, I kind of make it to where you can kind of do whatever you want with it. And I even specifically try to include extra pouches so you have more to mess with later on.
Mm.
I remember, oh, who was it that was talking about he was like, who was it you were interviewing a few months ago? That was talking
Um,
about,
it was Danny,
yeah,
probably.
Danny.
Yeah.
He talked about how there were like all these extra pouches and he wasn't quite sure where to put the stuff. I was like, oh no, you see, I include them specifically so you have extra stuff to mess with. And
Mm.
I've seen a lot of people kind of do that where they might throw an extra pouch on another fig and that kind of stuff. And I think it just definitely gives a sense of like openness as far as what you can do with it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like the giving extra pouches approach. It's kind of like
Yeah,
Lego when you could buy in a set and
right,
they throw those
exactly.
extra pieces in
You
just
get
so in
extra
case you
parts
lose
and you're
it.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
you get extra parts and you're like, oh, this is awesome. I have extras.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's kind of the same philosophy I kind of have.
Yeah, I think that's a great model. Just kind of that little extra for people to be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
but I got a little freebie, a little extra." That's great.
And I'm definitely starting to like kind of switch away from the pack idea just so that people can get exactly what they want for their stuff.
Mm.
It's I'm kind of still kind of testing the waters with what
Oh,
people
yeah, I
are
actually noticed
definitively
that.
interested in.
I noticed that once
Um,
you kind of reposition this products on your page and stuff that
yeah,
there was no more packs.
I kind of archived a bunch of stuff. I streamlined it. I made a specific highlight for like people that had kind of used the stuff in the past and whatnot, just to make it more straightforward and
Yep.
whatnot.
Yeah, I think allowing people to specifically buy which pouches they want, um, it's probably for the best. But I like the pouch approach, the pack approach to begin with.
Yeah,
It was something new, something to experiment with, see how people responded. And
yeah, definitely.
one of the other questions here, as we kind of just dive in, was: has any company approached you for commission work under your ValorBricks?
I actually haven't had anybody, not that I can remember. I've had a couple of people kind of just pop out of the blue and be like, "Hey, can you make this for me?"
Hmm.
But I haven't had any companies approach me. I have had a couple of people ask me to print out prototypes. I've done some work for ValorBricks. They had
Oh,
a
right.
couple of prototype vests they wanted printed out, and
I'm excited to see what he starts doing.
oh yeah, he's been
He's got
making
a
some cool
lot of
stuff. So
ideas.
yeah, I'm excited to see what he has in store. And I printed some prototypes for I always blank on names. Who made the Vietnam era flak
Yeah,
jacket?
Fallout Bricks and
Yeah,
Sean.
yeah. I helped them print out their stuff,
Hmm.
and I have some other stuff for another company I'm currently actually doing, but I can't talk about that
Of
because
course. On the DL, on the DL.
I've been sworn to secrecy. But I'll probably post something about that when all that stuff gets released, if that's okay with who I'm printing it for.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see that, hopefully.
It's some cool stuff. I'm just gonna say that it's. I'll definitely be interested to see if they actually make it. I will say it is from a big company.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
that's all I'm gonna
nice.
say.
That's awesome. So, hey, I mean, I guess that's the question right there. You have been getting some companies to
Yeah,
show
I've been
interest in
printing
your
some
work.
prototype stuff. Yeah, and I usually don't charge for that kind of stuff,
Mm,
just because you know.
it's for the culture.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more here to have fun with it and help other people out and whatnot. So
That's great. But yeah, the stuff Justin's doing with the Milsim bricks,
hmm
I'm very curious to see how those to get those vests in hand with
yeah,
the
those will be cool.
cummerbunds.
Yeah,
How were they when you printed them out?
they were pretty good. They were pretty solid. They were definitely like nice and thick. The
Mm.
cummerbunds were like a little awkward. I think he said he was gonna work on like correcting that a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. He did say that
Just
to me.
because I mean, unfortunately, it's a reality that's hard to accept. It's like impossible to do a cummerbund on
Yeah,
minifigures.
with the form, it's
Yeah.
just.
He did it really good though. It fit like perfectly on the torso. It was
Oh,
just
well,
kind of
that's
awkward
sweet.
at the arms. Yeah.
Right.
And like especially like it's hard to do a cummerbund unfortunately. You've come up with some pretty good solutions with like the band-aids and the E-tape and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Now my favorite one to use is the just like Lego cloth. And funny enough, I was talking with Justin because he posted his Shadow Company figure, which he
Uh-huh.
used on the knee pads. He used just Lego cloth for,
Huh, that's
which was
interesting.
from the Indiana Jones top of the car. I can't remember.
Oh, I
Oh,
know
it was
what you're
from
talking
the
about. Yeah.
Shanghai Chase or something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
where he has the fabric top on the car. That's like the only dark tan fabric I could find. And I found it in one of my bins, and I was like, "Oh, I could totally cut that up." So I've been using that for like months now
Oh
to
geez.
get my cummerbunds and other stuff like that. I even used it for like knee pads, like he had as well. And then I was in a group chat with him, and he posted that he used that for it. I was like, "Oh shit, other people are doing that too. That's great."
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always interesting to see how people kind of like adapt with kind of stuff and just try out different stuff.
absolutely.
Like I said, I don't really mod much, so it's definitely interesting to see all the creativity people have in that sphere.
Yeah, you're just a connoisseur of it all. You get to just see it all from the sidelines, and
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I said, I always test stuff out, but the farthest I usually go with that is gluing stuff to the vest and painting it up. So
hmm. Yeah.
I don't even really know if I'd consider it modding, but
Hey, I'd consider the painting modding. So
yeah, it's true. It's true.
your paint jobs are coming out clean. They're not looking like doo doo. So that's a step.
I yeah, definitely. I use the Citadel paints.
Mm.
I've been investing in those over the years.
Nice.
Every once in a while, just pick one up at the local comic book shop.
Yep. Yep. Do you water them down before you use them? Thin the
I
paints down
actually
a bit.
don't. I
Ooh,
just
you
use them.
should.
Yeah, it's probably smart. I kind of just use them straight from the thing. Or those paints are actually really nice. They have a little tip at the top that if you get wet with the paint and use that, so you don't have to like directly
Yep.
dip your brush into the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The Citadels are really good. I've enjoyed once I finally switched over to those, but definitely got to thin it down. But that's like kind of the beauty in it is that the
hmm
pigment holds even though it gets thinned down quite a bit.
Yeah,
So if you had just like a cheap acrylic, you're gonna thin it down and you're gonna have to put like a shitload of coats to get that same kind of opacity of it and just be like a strong color.
interesting.
But with the Citadels, you could thin it down quite a bit and you're still kind of holding your color there, but definitely much better thinned down if you get it nice, smooth, even coat.
Yeah, and they're not really that expensive either, from what I've found. I mean, if you buy a lot of them, they're obviously expensive,
Yeah,
but
once you be like, I need every single one, it's like, okay, well.
yeah. Like I remember when I first got them, I think I got like a gray, I got like a black, I got a brown, you know.
Yeah, start
And for like
small.
four, yeah, for like 4 or 5, it's only like 15, $20, which really isn't too bad.
Yeah, they're typically like, I think it's like 350 a pot. I
Yeah,
buy mine online, but even again, like I don't have an expansive collection of them at this point. I got in a, I got a starter set of it for Christmas,
oh,
which was
that's nice.
awesome, because I was like about to make the plunge into it, and then just kind of being like procrastinating, lazy, like, oh, I don't need it. I'll just keep using my other paints. And that was honestly one of the best like Christmas gifts I've ever gotten. Was just
That's
because
good.
it's exactly like what I wanted and was gonna use. But beyond that, I've only bought maybe like, and that came with, I don't know, 10 to 15 paints maybe.
Yeah, their starter packs are usually
They're
pretty
really good
pretty good.
value. And I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't buy another paint of theirs until maybe like 6 months ago.
Oh dang,
Like a different color besides what I had in that set. So,
that's pretty cool.
yeah. But now I'm trying to branch out into the different paint brands as well that are like kind of top tier, more expensive, not just the, Jabobo ones you could find at Walmart.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people using the apple barrel
Apple
ones.
Barrel,
I
yeah,
think. Yeah, that's it.
that's the infamous one.
There was one that was black that my friend James had at Brick Fair, and it had like a really nice like matte black to it. I was never able to
Hmm.
find the one again, but it turned out like as far as
Was it
paints, I was pretty
was it
surprised.
like the Apple Barrel bottle size, or was it small?
Yeah, it was the apple barrel one, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
that's not too bad.
the one Apple Barrel paint I bought specifically, like I never used the Apple Barrel brand. I used like a comparable one, but I specifically went out and bought the Apple Barrel like light flesh looking color. Actually, I think it was Charles who I don't know if he discovered the color, but he was the one who turned me on to it. He had it one brick fair, and I was like, oh shit, really? Like that's a good color. I gotta
Yeah,
use that.
Charles does a lot with painting too.
Yeah, he had done something with he like sculpted the sleeves or something, and then actually painted the light flesh on the arms, and I was like, oh, that's actually
That's
not a
pretty
bad
cool.
match.
Yeah, he makes some crazy figures.
For real. Yeah, the Ronin was really good that he made. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and you custom printed the vest for that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I helped him out with that. I
That
guess
was
that was like the only custom commission I've done.
that was a
It was
great project.
that was good experience too, honestly. It was good to kind of like that was kind of when I was just starting to mess around with the moddable stuff,
Hmm.
and I kind of printed some stuff and just saw how it looked and whatnot.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that until now. That was a really neat project you guys whipped up
Yeah,
together.
it was neat. That was definitely like kind of the first time I had messed around with like moddables type stuff.
Mm.
And I think I even printed out like an extra backpack and a what's it called, a pouch single or a mag shingle for the vest just to see how it looked.
Do you think you'd ever release the Ronin items?
Nah, probably not. That was kind of a one-off thing.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I'm looking at it now. I saw the pistol pouches in the front, which was nice.
yeah, that was the mag shingle that I
Hmm.
did, and that was interesting. That turned out pretty good,
Yeah, those do look
but
good.
that's a very specific item. So
There's like basically just two types of questions. It's either design process or Fallout. Like that was
yeah,
like
I know there's a lot of people that are like, dude, you got to keep making Fallout. You got to keep making Fallout. I'm like, I know. I just got to get working on it. I want Fallout stuff too. I want Fallout stuff for Figs too. Trust me.
hell yeah. I'm definitely the community will love to see it.
Yeah, and I love Fallout too. So I'm definitely passionate about the stuff I make relating to it.
That's good. That's good. I'm gonna be a fake fan here. I never really sat down and played fully through a Fallout game,
Oh no.
but but I love the genre completely, and just
Yeah.
everything that comes out of that game is so good.
Yeah, I remember I got Fallout 3. I think we were at a Red Box and I saw they had Fallout 3 and I was like, "Whoa, that looks like a cool game."
Mm.
And that's when the addiction started. Rented it for a day and I think I played it for like 3 hours straight and I was like, "Whoa, this is awesome."
That's good.
And then I got Fallout 3 and then 4 and New Vegas.
I got to get it for PC because I never played it growing up, and then I got 4 on my Xbox One, and then but I never really liked playing on controller or anything like that, so just I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely recommend Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. They have really good
Bet.
campaigns.
Okay.
And they're fun games too, I mean.
Is there a modded community for that too?
I think so.
I feel like there's got to be,
Yeah,
just
I think
because it's
so.
such
I've seen some.
an old game now, just a classic.
Yeah,
Because like Skyrim is just like you're buying the game, but it's really just to be able to play with the modded shit. Like
yeah.
there's
I think
five
Fallout's the same way.
times worth of full game content just in the modding community, if not more. It's just like
Yeah,
crazy stuff.
because I've played more on the PlayStation, so there's not really much modded
Yeah,
stuff on
yeah, you
there.
can't really do it there, right? But again, haven't even played Skyrim either, except for like 20 minutes. I have the attention span of the gnat. Like when it comes to like story driven games, like
Yeah,
it's terrible. In theory, like I'd love to be able to get sucked into a world like that and play through them, and then it's just oh no, I'm just gonna go back to playing like CS:GO or something where it's just the
yeah.
same old thing, just back and forth, just new round, new round. But
Yeah, I think I played Skyrim for a few minutes, and then I was like, "This is all right, not the best." I've always been kind of more of a fan of like Fallout and stuff. Skyrim is still pretty cool though.
for sure. Do you think you'd expand the items you're making in ValorBricks beyond military?
That's a good question. Maybe in the future. I'm not really sure what I'd make though.
Yeah, only if something really piques your interest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is there's definitely a lot of accessories, but it's kind of hard to like pinpoint what would actually be useful just because there's so many Lego accessories.
Hmm.
The reason why like military is so popular with some companies, especially mine, is because Lego doesn't really make it. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've made, it's because nobody else has ever done it before.
Yep.
And part of me is like, oh, I kind of want one of those, like the Modables light vest. Nobody's done a tactical vest for what I know that's based off of the jumpable plate carrier. So I was like, that might be cool to do. And
As it turns
the
out, it is. It is cool.
yeah, and I know the what was the flashlight? I think I called it like the Bendy L light.
Bendy L.
Yeah, but it's the Streamlight Sidewinder. I don't think anybody's ever done one of those before, from
Yeah,
what
I
I know
don't.
of.
I can't recall any either.
And it's a popular flashlight
It
too.
is.
So
It is. Definitely showing your milsurp, collecting in that one.
yeah, yeah. I don't own a Sidewinder, but some stuff, if I want to make it, I just run upstairs and grab it.
Oh,
Just hold it in my hand. See if the scale looks right on that.
would you want to discuss anything that you're currently working on, like that could be expected for the future?
Honestly, I haven't really been like designing a whole lot over the last few weeks, especially because of like school and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that.
I mean, I definitely have plans for more Fallout stuff and definitely like more modables, pouches, and stuff.
Hmm.
I do have some Bungee mag pouches that I have to still print out.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would be great.
I had done the prototypes on them and they turned out like a little too tall, so I kind of have to revamp them. So I guess I do have stuff that is planned, but
Awesome.
and there's definitely
I'd
some.
be really interested in the bungee mags.
Yeah, I had a triple mag shingle done and I had a single mag pouches done,
Hmm.
but they turned out like way too tall. So I'll definitely have to redo those.
Yeah, I tried to consider how I could mod those recently, and there have been people to do it. There really have, and shout out to them. But I literally just said no. I was like, I'm not even gonna attempt that. Just
Yeah, it would be hard. It's because that's the thing is it's not really like a solid block. Like most mag pouches are kind of just a rectangle with a couple of little extrusions on them, but
right.
the bungee mags are a little more than that.
Yeah, that is.
And even then, most of the modables pouches are just rectangles at the end of the day.
But yeah, I think that's all here actually.
Cool stuff.
This is good. I have a paper to write, so I'm okay with this ending a little early.
Yeah, I gotta go write some history stuff. I've been helping my little brother with some homework, so.
Nice. Rough draft due tomorrow. Okay, yeah, I'll just do it the night before. It's all good. We'll just bang that out.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I had a paper due for English 101 on Friday, and the rough draft was supposed to be a minimum of like 1,000 words.
Oh God.
So I think I started at 8, and at like 10 o'clock I had like 1,400 words, and I was like, all right, this is good.
Nice. I wish.
Night it was due.
I mean, by 10 o'clock, I would have just hit like the second wave of procrastination and been at 200 words. So I respect that. That's some good
Yeah,
good work ethic in that.
yeah, my schedule is terrible. I will procrastinate like the entire afternoon, and then it'll hit like 9 o'clock, and I'll just do work for like 2 hours straight and get it all done.
It's
I'm
vicious,
like,
dude.
oh, okay, yeah,
It's terrible.
yeah, I'm gonna need to change up my study schedule for college if I'm actually gonna succeed.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it doesn't get easier to change up once. It's
Are
just
you
like,
in
all
college?
right,
I was gonna
yeah,
say you're in college right now, right?
yeah. I'm actually in my last semester, so I'm graduating out. But
Of
th-
college, really?
yeah, just community college, so it's no
Oh,
big
that's
deal.
cool. What are you
But
studying?
welding.
Oh, hey, that's cool. My dad used to be a steam fitter for a while.
Oh yeah, pipe fitting. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, he does HVAC now.
Oh,
But
nice.
my dad always, he's like, he used to always talk about how engineers would like never really think about how stuff actually went together.
Yep.
So he's like in all these machine rooms for the new like schools and buildings and libraries and stuff. There's not enough space to actually work.
Yeah.
You get in there and it's like, yeah, it's
Yeah, I hear that a lot from my professors too. It's just like, you see this blueprint? All right, we're going to dedicate this whole class to learning how to read the blueprint. But at the same time, once you're on the job, it's going to be absolutely useless because you're going to have to fight with the engineer about how it actually functions. So,
yeah, I've heard a lot of engineering students have god complexes and they kind of think they're better than everybody. But I always think that's really stupid. I
I
respect
agree.
anybody and everybody who's in similar trades.
That's good. I'm sure that'll
Especially, yeah,
benefit you a lot getting into
yeah,
engineering.
especially because my dad did it. I know that he works really hard, and he's a smart guy too with what he does.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, both ends, the trade, the people actually executing it and the engineers both have a job. And it's just easier if you could kind
Oh
of
yeah,
work together and actually respect each other's opinions than
definitely.
have to fight over it. It's
And they're
retarded.
both equally important. I mean, if
Yeah,
not the building part of it more important,
right. Otherwise, it's
because
just
that's yeah,
ideas.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm actually one of the few mechanical engineers that actually wants to work for a defense contractor or the government.
That's awesome.
There's so many engineers that are like, I don't want to work for the military industrial complex. I want to work for
Oh,
yeah, I want to work for Google. I want to work for Amazon. And I'm like, no, I want to be the guy designing the tanks and the Tomahawk missiles.
yeah. Hell yeah. That's the
That's the
fun
work I want
job.
to do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good for you, man. Good luck with
So,
that.
yeah, thank you. Hopefully it works out.
It's reminding me of that meme from I guess it was Hunter, Standees, just with Dan, just glory to the military
Oh, yeah,
complex.
yeah. I saw that one. I saw that one. It was posted at, dude, I laughed my ass off at that.
That is
Oh,
so good.
jeez. Because, yeah, all of their kits are sponsored by, like, Lockheed Martin. And, like, how do you not support it and then get sponsored by these companies to do these kits? Well, I heard from the guy, I was at the Brickmania store in Virginia the other day.
Hmm.
And I was talking like, oh, it's pretty cool. They're sponsored by the things. And I think I brought up that one Russian company that makes the kits that are almost identical to Brickmania's.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I just don't know their
Yeah.
name at all. Yeah.
And I remember, I think
Oh
he,
wait,
he
is it
said,
a Game Brick store?
no, I don't think so.
Oh, I think
I
that's
think
just
they
the
make
ones who make the figures. They're making
armor
kits too.
bricks. Armor
Armor
bricks.
bricks. Okay.
Here, let me search it up. I don't want to be like falsely accusing a company that's not the one.
Yeah, I think Armor Bricks is the one. Yeah, made in Russia.
Yeah,
Yep.
armor brick. Yeah.
Yep.
Apparently, according to the guy at the Brickmania store, apparently some of these companies are trying to sue Armor Bricks
Of course.
because they're making like,
This stuff based
Chinooks.
off their vehicle.
Yeah, yeah.
That's ridiculous, man.
And it looks like their Chinook, they just call it Special Operations Heavy Lift Helicopter. Yeah, they keep the names pretty similar.
Mm.
And the kits that aren't like copied off of Brickmania, like if you search up the vehicle, like I think it was their Gaz Tiger. If you search it up, there's a model that looks like almost identical to it.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's interesting.
I never got into vehicle building, so I could hardly tell you the difference between two different ones. So I don't know who's stealing or what, but
Yeah, it's crazy to look at it from like, and it's the same way with like modeled parts. I mean,
yeah, I
so
was
many
gonna
people,
say.
so many people are like, oh yeah, they don't really look. It's the same gun. They're not copying off of one another. But if you look at some of the stuff like side by side, it looks almost identical. I mean, it's almost scary how similar some people's stuff looks from other people's stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's. I feel like more and more lately that becomes more of a. I don't know,
it's a
just
problem. It
yeah,
definitely
topic of
is.
discussion just with other brands, more and more brands popping up to do, stuff in the same space, and even beyond the like injection molding stuff, like
Yeah.
accessory wise, you could say the same for printing companies.
Yeah, I
And
mean, there's so many printing companies and parts companies that like some of their stuff is almost indistinguishable.
hmm
I mean, you can get one and I mean, especially before I started ValorBricks, I was like, this is my goal. I'm not going to make stuff identical. And I mean, I've had a lot of people say like, "Oh yeah, your stuff kind of looks like Tiny Tacticals, but it's obviously not Tiny Tactical."
yeah,
And I've definitely made it a goal to make original stuff and not copy off of other people's stuff.
yeah. No, I think you're doing that well. I mean, you gotta really like this. You can't just say because one company did it already, that
Right.
nobody else could touch it.
Right.
So it really
And I
comes
think
down
that's a
to,
problem.
yeah, it really just comes down to how they're actually executing the idea, and if they're bringing their own spin and touch to it in the final
Yeah.
product.
And that's like something that I've seen a lot. Like some people are like, "Oh, so and so made it, and they don't have the rights to it." And yeah, but if you look at it from a 3D modeling standpoint, it's like, wow, that looks almost identical.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially, well, I'm not naming
yeah.
names,
We
but
don't gotta call out names, but
yeah,
uh,
there's a couple I could list off the top of my
yeah.
head.
When you start seeing it, it's unfortunate. It really
Yeah,
is, but
it's kind of sad to see. I mean, especially with the printing companies these days.
hmm
I mean, there's definitely a lot of companies that have tried to kind of copy off of the Citizen Brick and TMC aesthetic.
yep,
It's interesting. Although I'm not gonna lie, some of these companies they make their own original stuff, so
they do.
it's not as bad as like directly copying off of somebody. But the aesthetics are definitely similar.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of go by case basis, just because they're making some similar products, you know.
Yeah.
But once it's oh well, they've made a bunch of the same kind of products, and they kind of stylistically are doing similar things. It's like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah. It's definitely obvious what you're trying to do.
yeah. And then additionally, with the kit comparison to what's going on with injection parts, it's
Oh
crazy to
yeah.
see that those actual, manufacturing vehicles, like those companies, are coming after the kit makers, just
Yeah.
because it's something that like I know Will's had to deal with, and it's the reason like he won't make certain guns. It's just because those companies are super protective of you know, the silhouette of their rifles and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
So
you'll notice like for my Fallout laser pistol, I just called it the laser handgun.
yeah.
I
You always
mean,
gotta kind of do stuff like that.
right. And I've always kind of had that mentality like and it's really sad because these companies are making it because they look up to the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making it because they want to screw over these companies. They're making it so that way
Exactly.
people can have a Lego version.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of companies are kind of like greedy about that. You got to give me money if you're making this for your Lego figures. But
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, at well, can't say it for the larger brands because they do get noticed, but for stuff like you or the hobbyists at large, we could kind of just
yeah,
go
it's
under the
kind of
radar. It's not a big deal. It's kind of just
yeah,
art, but
pretty much. Yeah, especially the bigger companies. They have
they do got to watch their back.
yeah, it's sad, but it's how
It's
the world
understandable
works.
at
Yeah, it's understandable.
one end, but then at the same time, it is just oh well, we just love your stuff. We're trying
Yeah,
to,
we're not trying to screw you over. We just think it's cool.
yeah, exactly. That's how it goes. Once
Yeah.
there's money involved, there's always going to be issues.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But
Well,
yeah,
thank you very much for
absolutely.
having me on. I
Thank you
do
for being
appreciate it.
on. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to chat.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon, man. Any last words for the audience?
Thank you very much for listening, and make sure you check me out. And of course, make sure to check out Bricks and the Banter,
Hell yeah. All
if
right.
that's what it's called. Did I get that right?
Bricks and banter.
Bricks and Banter. Make sure to check out Bricks and Banter too.
Leave us a review. Thank you, man.
Alrighty, talk to you later.
Thank you all for listening. Sorry for the lack of a copper drop segment this episode, but due to Brandon being on the podcast to represent his brand, we decided to leave his personal takes aside. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes. I want to give a huge thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. We have Seth, Luger Enthusiast, Tupolev, Mike, Justin, Francisco, Dashbricks, PK Custom Lego, Milo, Dr. Xbox Live, Jay, The Space Cowboy, and Minibigs. I am truly honored by all of your guys' support, and I can't thank you all enough. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, you can check out the link tree in our Instagram bio, and it'll lead you directly to it. Thank you all again for listening, and make sure to tune in next week.